Number 10. The Vanishing Hitchhiker. In the early 1960s, a motorist in Kansas picked up a hitchhiker on a lonely stretch of road. She had long, flowing red hair, wore a miniskirt, and was extremely attractive. The driver rolled down his window and the girl climbed into his car. They drove for about 20 minutes when she suddenly got out without paying. When he stopped to ask her why she left, she said that she wanted to walk the rest of the way. But the driver thought something was weird, and so he called the police. When they arrived at the scene, there was no sign of the girl or any footprints in the soft ground. Her disappearance baffled the cops. It wasn't until years later that a very similar case would be solved. It turned out that a serial killer had been picking up women hitchhikers and then dumping them in abandoned oil wells. It's suspected that this same killer was responsible for taking the life of the mysterious redhead. And now for No. 8. But first, want to give a big shout out to some supporters. Thanks so much for supporting this channel. If you want to be featured just like these two, then make sure to subscribe. Number 8. The Sealed Room. One day, a plumber named John Davis entered a room inside an old house to make a simple repair. He turned off the water valve, prepared his tools, and started working. But as soon as he stepped foot inside, the door slammed shut with a loud bang. Confused, John tried to open the door, but it was locked from the outside. In a panic, he called for help, and his friends came rushing over. They tried everything to get the door open, but nothing worked. Eventually, one of John's friends broke through the door, only to find the room completely empty. John's toolbox was still sitting in the middle of the room, as if he had just stepped out. To this day, nobody has any idea what happened to him. Some believe he was kidnapped by an unknown force, while others think he simply made the whole thing up to avoid doing his work. What do you think really happened? Let me know your theories in the comments below. No. 7. The Boy Who Disappeared. In 2013, a boy from Colorado named Ryan Stice vanished into thin air after leaving his home for school. His mother reported him missing after he never showed up for class. Police searched everywhere for the young lad, but there was no sign of him anywhere. Days turned into weeks, but there was still no trace of the missing child. Then a strange thing happened. A woman in Arizona saw Ryan walking along the side of the road and called the cops. When officers arrived at the scene, they detained the boy and took him back to his mother. But she swore she hadn't seen him in days. She identified him as her son, Ryan. But how could this be possible? Had Ryan been walking around all this time? Or was it actually someone who looked exactly like him? To this day, the case remains unsolved, and Ryan's parents are still searching for answers. No. 6. The Vanishing Act. One night in 1964, a man strolled into the lobby of an apartment building in New York City. He checked his watch, then walked over to the elevator and pressed the button. Moments later, he stepped inside and the doors closed. But seconds after the elevator started moving downward, an employee heard a loud crash. He rushed to the elevator and pushed the button to see what had happened. But when the doors opened, they found a man lying motionless on the floor. When they checked his pulse, they discovered that he was dead. To this day, nobody knows how the man fell to his death in the elevator shaft. Was he pushed? Did he trip? Or did something else cause his sudden fall? No. 5. The House of Horrors. A group of kids were playing outside their school when they spotted a creepy old house on the hill. Out of curiosity, they decided to sneak inside. As they stepped through the front door, they noticed that everything had been ripped off the walls. The place looked like a bomb had gone off. But then they started finding strange things. Hidden inside the walls, the kids discovered hundreds of human teeth, animal bones, and even pieces of flesh. They also found a basement filled with dolls and mannequins that appeared to be watching them. Terrified, the kids ran away from the house as fast as they could. When the police searched the property, they found a secret passageway leading to a nearby cave. Inside the cave, they found the bones of several men, women, and children. It was clear that a serial killer had used the house as a torture chamber, but the killer was never caught. And to this day, nobody knows what the hell was going on inside that house. Number 4. The Disappearance of the Submarine. In 2005, a submarine named the Lacustrine dived into Lake Ontario. There were 13 people on board the vessel when it disappeared beneath the surface. A massive search was launched, but nobody had any idea where the submarine had gone. Several days later, divers discovered the submerged vessel, but it was completely empty. There was no sign of the crew anywhere. Was the submarine hijacked? Did it spring a leak and everyone panicked? Or did something else cause the crew to disappear? To this day, nobody is sure what really happened. But the strangest part is that this isn't the first time such a thing has happened. In 1968, another submarine sank in the same lake, and also without a trace. 2 men were killed in that incident, but the mystery remains unsolved. No. 3. The island that wasn't there. For centuries, sailors have told tales of a mysterious island located in the Atlantic Ocean. Maps from the 15th century show the island's location. But when explorers arrived at the coordinates, they found nothing but empty ocean. To make matters even more bizarre, there were reports of people living on the island, and even a small village. So why did the island suddenly vanish? One theory is that the island was destroyed during a volcanic eruption. Another theory is that it was swallowed by a giant wave. It's even possible that the entire thing was a hallucination caused by a rare atmospheric phenomenon. No. 2. The ghostly hitchhiker. A woman from Texas was driving home from work late one night when she picked up a hitchhiker. She didn't think much of it, and so she offered him a ride. But the hitchhiker seemed a little off. He kept glancing at her rearview mirror and seemed extremely nervous. Then he started asking her questions about the area. When the woman finally reached her destination, the hitchhiker thanked her for the ride and headed toward the front door. But moments later, she noticed that he had disappeared. The front door was clearly visible, but there was no sign of the man anywhere. Had he phased through the wall? Did he never exist at all? Or is he a ghost? No. 1. The vanishing lady. Cecilia Gutierrez was last seen getting into a car with her husband in Los Angeles. Her body has never been found, and her husband refused to cooperate with investigators. He claimed that Cecilia got out of the car and went into a bar, but nobody has any idea what happened to her. Years later, new evidence was uncovered, proving that her husband was a liar. Surveillance footage showed that he was the last person to be seen with his wife. But the most shocking part is that he had already planned his next move. After killing Cecilia, he married another woman and started a new life. But he was eventually caught and sentenced to 27 years in prison. To this day, nobody knows what he did with his wife's body. Thanks for watching. How many of these mysteries have you heard of before? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time.